Rich man lost his watch at the gym. The broke janitor who found it got a life-changing call. The morning sun cast long shadows across the parking lot of Elite Fitness Center in downtown Chicago. Robert Harrison stepped out of his black Mercedes-Benz, adjusting his expensive suit jacket. At 52, Robert was the epitome of success, CEO of Harrison Industries, a multi-million-dollar construction company that had built half the skyscrapers in the city. Another day, another dollar, he muttered to himself, checking his Rolex Submariner, a $15,000 timepiece that had been his father's last gift before passing away. The watch wasn't just expensive, it was irreplaceable, engraved with the words, "Time is the most valuable currency, Dad." Robert pushed through the glass doors of the gym, nodding curtly at the receptionist. "Morning, Sarah." "Good morning, Mr. Harrison. Your usual locker is ready." The gym was Robert's sanctuary, the one place where his wealth didn't matter, or so he thought. Here, he could push his body to its limits, forgetting about board meetings and profit margins. But today felt different. He'd received troubling news about a potential lawsuit against his company, and the stress was eating at him. As Robert changed into his workout gear, he carefully placed his Rolex on the small shelf inside locker 247. He'd done this routine hundreds of times, but today his mind was elsewhere, consumed by legal documents and damage control strategies. His workout was intense, 45 minutes of heavy lifting, trying to sweat away his anxiety. The iron felt good in his hands, each rep a small victory against the chaos threatening his business empire. When he finished, sweat dripped from his brow as he headed back to the locker room. Robert showered quickly, his mind already racing ahead to his 10 a.m. meeting with the lawyers. He dressed hastily, grabbed his gym bag, and rushed out of the locker room. It wasn't until he was sitting in his car, reaching for his phone, that he realized something was wrong. His wrist felt naked. No, he whispered, frantically checking his pockets, his gym bag, the car seats. Panic set in as he realized the devastating truth. His father's watch was gone. Robert sprinted back into the gym, his expensive Italian leather shoes slapping against the polished floor. He burst into the locker room, his heart pounding. Locker 247 stood open, exactly as he'd left it, but the small shelf was empty. "Excuse me," he called out to another member. "Did you see anyone near locker 247? The man shook his head, barely looking up from tying his shoes. Robert's hands shook as he searched every corner of the locker, then expanded his search to the entire locker room. Nothing. He checked the shower stalls, the benches, even the trash cans. His father's watch, his most precious possession, had vanished. "Sarah," he said breathlessly, approaching the front desk. "I need to speak with your manager immediately." Sarah noticed his distress. "Is everything okay, Mr. Harrison?" "My watch is missing. It was in my locker, and now it's gone. It's very valuable." Within minutes, gym manager Mike Peterson appeared. "Mr. Harrison, I'm so sorry to hear about this. Let's review the security footage right away." They huddled around a small monitor in the back office, fast-forwarding through grainy black and white footage. The camera angle showed the locker room entrance, but not the individual lockers. "I see you entering at 8:15 a.m., Mike said, and leaving at 9:07 a.m. During that time, 12 other members used the locker room. Robert's jaw clenched. "One of them took my watch." "Mr. Harrison, I have to ask, are you certain you brought it today?" "Of course I'm certain," Robert snapped. "I never leave home without it. It's worth $15,000, and it was my father's." Mike winced. "We'll need to file a police report. And I'll speak with everyone who was in the locker room during that time frame." As they talked, neither man noticed the slight figure. In the corner of the footage, Marcus Thompson, the night janitor who'd stayed late to fix a broken towel dispenser. The camera barely caught him, and his presence went unnoticed in their focus on the gym members. Meanwhile, In the gym's utility closet, Marcus Thompson was having the worst morning of his life. At 34, Marcus had been working as a janitor for 3 years, ever since losing his job at the auto plant when it closed down. The pay was barely enough to cover rent on his small apartment and put food on the table for his 8-year-old daughter, Emma. This morning, his ex-wife Linda had called with devastating news. Emma needed surgery for a hernia, a $12,000 procedure. That insurance would only partially cover. Linda, a single mother struggling with her own bills, had broken down crying on the phone. "I don't know what we're going to do, Marcus," she'd sobbed. "I've applied for medical assistance, but they say it could take months. The doctor says Emma can't wait that long." Marcus had stood in his tiny kitchen, staring at the medical bills spread across his scratched dining table, feeling utterly helpless. He made $11 an hour cleaning the gym, barely $1,400 a month. After rent, utilities, and his beat-up Honda's car payment, he had maybe $200 left for food and everything else. "I'll figure something out," he'd promised Linda, though he had no idea. How? Now, as he cleaned the locker room after the morning rush, Marcus's mind raced through impossible scenarios. Maybe he could get a second job, though he was already working 50 hours a week. Maybe he could sell his car, though he needed it to get to work. Maybe he could take out a loan, though his credit was shot from when he'd fallen behind on bills. After losing his plant job, as he mopped near the lockers, something caught his eye. Wedged behind locker 247, barely visible, was something metallic. Marcus knelt down and carefully retrieved it. His breath caught in his throat. It was a watch, not just any watch, but clearly an expensive one. The weight of it in his hands, the intricate details, the way it caught the light. Marcus had never held anything so valuable. He turned it over and saw an engraving. "Time is the most valuable currency, Dad." Marcus sat back on his heels, the watch heavy in his palm. His heart raced as he realized what this could mean. $15,000, maybe $20,000. Enough to pay for Emma's surgery and maybe even catch up on some bills. He thought about his daughter, how she'd been complaining about the pain in her stomach, how she'd tried to hide it because she didn't want to worry him. He thought about Linda's tears, about the medical bills, about the impossible choice between his daughter's health and his own moral compass. Marcus closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them, his decision was made. 20 minutes later, Marcus stood at the front desk, the watch in his hand. "Sarah," he said quietly, "I found something in the locker room." Sarah looked up from her computer, then her eyes widened as she saw the watch. "Oh my God, Marcus. Mr. Harrison was just here looking for this." "Mr. Harrison?" "Yeah, he was frantic. Said it was his father's watch, worth $15,000. He left his business card and said to call immediately if anyone found it." Marcus felt a strange mix of relief and regret as he handed over the watch. "Here it is." It was wedged behind one of the lockers. Sarah immediately reached for the phone. "Mr. Harrison? It's Sarah from Elite Fitness. We found your watch." "Yes, sir, Marcus. Our janitor found it." "Okay, I'll tell him." She hung up and smiled at Marcus. "He's on his way back." He sounded so relieved, Marcus. "You have no idea what this means to him." Marcus nodded, forcing a smile. "Just glad I could help." As Sarah locked the watch in the office safe, Marcus went back to his cleaning, trying not to think about the opportunity he'd just given up. He'd done the right thing, he knew that. But knowing it didn't make it any easier to face Emma's medical bills or Linda's tears. 15 minutes later, Robert Harrison burst through the gym doors like a man reprieved from execution. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his tie askew. He'd canceled his important meeting and driven back to the gym at dangerous speeds. "Where is it?" he demanded breathlessly. Sarah retrieved the watch from the safe. Robert's hands shook as he took it, immediately checking the engraving. "Thank God," he whispered. "Where did you find it?" "Marcus, our janitor, found it wedged." behind one of the lockers. He turned it in immediately. Robert looked around the gym. Where is he? I need to thank him. He's in the back, finishing up the pool area. Robert found Marcus methodically cleaning the pool deck, his movements efficient and practiced. For a moment, Robert just watched him, this man who'd found $15,000 and simply turned it in. "Excuse me," Robert said. "You're Marcus?" Marcus looked up, seeing the wealthy businessman for the first time. "Yes, sir." "You must be Mr. Harrison." "I am." Robert pulled out his wallet. "I can't thank you enough. This watch. It's not just valuable, it's irreplaceable. My father gave it to me before he died." Marcus stopped cleaning and straightened up. "I'm sorry for your loss, sir. I saw the engraving." "Most people would have kept it," Robert said, pulling out several $100 bills. "Please, take this as a reward." Marcus looked at the money, easily $500, maybe $600. More than he made in a week, but he shook his head. "I appreciate it, Mr. Harrison, but I can't take that. I just did what anyone should do." Robert stared at him in disbelief. "Anyone should do it, but not everyone would. Please, I insist." "Really, sir, I can't. I'm just glad you got your father's watch back." Robert slowly put the money back in his wallet, studying Marcus with new eyes. "What's your last name, Marcus?" "Thompson, sir." "Well, Marcus Thompson, you're a better man than most. If you ever need anything at all, you call me." Robert pulled out his business card. "I mean that." Marcus took the card, glancing at it briefly. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. That's very kind." As Robert walked away, Marcus looked down at the business card. Robert Harrison, CEO, Harrison Industries. He folded it carefully and put it in his pocket, then went back to cleaning the pool. He had no idea that this simple act of honesty was about to change his life forever. 3 days later, Marcus sat in the waiting room of Chicago General Hospital, watching Emma color in a cartoon princess book. She looked so small in the oversized hospital chair, her legs swinging freely, not quite reaching the floor. "Daddy, when can we go home?" Emma asked, not looking up from her coloring. "Soon, sweetheart," Marcus said, though he had no idea how he was going to pay for what came next. The surgeon, Dr. Patricia Webb, had been clear. Emma's hernia was more complicated than initially thought. The surgery would cost $18,000, not the $12,000 they'd originally estimated. Insurance would cover $6,000, leaving Marcus responsible for $12,000 he simply didn't have. "Mr. Thompson?" A nurse appeared at the doorway. "Dr. Webb would like to see you." Marcus squeezed Emma's hand. "Keep coloring, baby. I'll be right back." In Dr. Webb's office, the news was worse than Marcus had expected. "The hernia is pressing against major blood vessels," Dr. Webb explained, pointing to X-rays on a light board. "We need to operate within the next week, or Emma could face serious complications." "I understand," Marcus said quietly, "but I need to be honest with you. Doctor, I don't have $12,000. Dr. Webb's expression softened. "Have you applied for financial assistance?" "Yes, but they say it could take 6 to 8 weeks for approval." "Mr. Thompson, I don't want to pressure you, but medically speaking, Emma can't wait that long." Marcus felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He'd been working double shifts, had even picked up weekend cleaning jobs, but he was still thousands of dollars short. He'd swallowed his pride and called his parents in Ohio, but they were living on Social Security and had nothing to spare. "Give me until Friday," Marcus said. "I'll find a way." That evening, Marcus sat at his kitchen table, surrounded by bills and bank statements. His phone showed 17 missed calls from bill collectors. His rent was due in 5 days. His car payment was already 2 weeks late. He pulled out Robert Harrison's business card and stared at it. The man had said, "If you ever need anything," but Marcus couldn't bring himself to make the call. He'd returned the watch because it was the right thing to do, not because he expected something in return, that his phone rang. It was Linda. "Marcus, I'm so sorry, but I have to ask, did you figure out how to pay for Emma's surgery?" Marcus closed his eyes. "Not yet, but I will. The doctor called me today. She said Emma needs the operation by Friday." "I know, I'm working on it." Linda's voice broke. "I've been thinking, maybe we should consider taking out one of those medical loans. I know the interest is crazy, but..." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Those loans are predatory. We'd be paying for 20 years. But what choice do we have?" Marcus looked at Robert Harrison's business card again. "Let me make a call." After he hung up, Marcus sat in the silence of his small apartment, wrestling with his pride. Finally, he picked up his phone and dialed the number on the card. "Harrison Industries, this is Robert Harrison." Marcus almost hung up. "Mr. Harrison, this is Marcus Thompson from the gym. I found your watch. Marcus, I was hoping you'd call." "How are you?" I'm calling because you said if I ever needed anything." "Of course, what can I do for you?" Marcus took a deep breath. "My 8-year-old daughter needs surgery. It's going to cost $12,000, and I don't have it. I know it's a lot to ask, but I was wondering if you might consider giving me a loan. I'll pay you back, I promise. It might take a while, but I'll pay every penny." The line went quiet for a moment. Marcus's heart sank. "Marcus," Robert said finally, "can you meet me at my office tomorrow morning? Say 9 a.m.? "Yes, sir, I can be there." "Good. Bring any medical documents you have about your daughter." The next morning, Marcus stood before the gleaming Harrison Industries building, feeling completely out of place in his one good shirt and khakis. The lobby was all marble and chrome, filled with people in expensive suits carrying briefcases. At the security desk, Marcus cleared his throat. "I'm here to see Mr. Harrison, Marcus Thompson." The security guard checked his list. "Elevator bank. C 42nd floor." The elevator ride felt like an eternity. Marcus had never been this high up in a building before. Through the glass walls, he could see the entire city spread out below. Robert's secretary, a professional woman in her 50s, greeted him warmly. "Mr. Thompson, Mr. Harrison is waiting for you." Robert's office was bigger than Marcus's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of Lake Michigan. Robert stood behind a massive oak desk, but immediately came around to shake Marcus's hand. "Marcus, thank you for coming. Please sit down." Marcus sat in a leather chair that probably cost more than he made in a month. "Mr. Harrison, I really appreciate you seeing me. I know you're busy. Call me Robert. And you're not interrupting anything important." Robert sat across from him. "Tell me about your daughter." Marcus pulled out the medical documents and explained Emma's condition. Robert listened intently, occasionally asking questions that showed he was truly paying attention. "The surgery is scheduled for Friday," Marcus concluded. "I've exhausted every option I can think of. I hate to ask, but I'm desperate." Robert was quiet for a long moment, studying the medical reports. "Marcus, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with me." "Yes, sir." "When you found my watch, did you consider keeping it?" Marcus felt his face flush. Yes, sir. I thought about it. My daughter was in pain, and I didn't have the money for her surgery. For a few minutes, I thought about how that watch could solve all our problems. But you didn't keep it." "No, sir, I couldn't. It wasn't mine." Robert nodded slowly. "Do you know why I asked you that question?" "No, sir. Because I've been thinking about you for 3 days. You had every reason to keep that watch. You needed money. You found it. No one would have known. But you didn't. You chose to do the right thing, even when it cost you everything." Robert stood and walked to the window. "I've been successful in business for 30 years, Marcus. I've hired hundreds of people and worked with thousands more. Do you know what I've learned?" "No, sir. Integrity is rarer than gold. Intelligence can be taught, skills can be learned, but integrity, that's something you either have or you don't, and you have it. Robert turned back to face him. I'm not going to give you a loan, Marcus. Marcus's heart sank. I understand, sir. I appreciate your time. I'm not finished, Robert said with a slight smile. I'm not giving you a loan because you're not going to pay me back. I'm paying for your daughter's surgery as a gift. Marcus stared at him, not comprehending. Sir? $12,000. I'll have my accountant cut a check to the hospital. Today, Mr. Harrison, I can't accept that. It's too much. Yes, you can, and there's more. Marcus felt dizzy. More? Robert returned to his desk and pulled out a folder. I've been thinking about expanding my company's maintenance division. We have 12 buildings around the city that need proper facility management. I need someone to oversee the entire operation, hiring staff, managing schedules, ensuring quality control. I don't understand. I'm offering you a job, Marcus, facility operations manager. Starting salary is $65,000 a year, plus health insurance and benefits. Marcus felt like he couldn't breathe. $65,000? It's hard work. You'd be responsible for managing 23 employees across 12 locations, but I believe you can handle it. Mr. Harrison, I'm just a janitor. I don't have management experience. No, Marcus, you're not just a janitor. You're a man of character who showed up to work every day for 3 years, even when times were tough. You're someone who found $15,000 and turned it in without hesitation. Those are the qualities I need in a manager. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Say you'll take the job. Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Robert came around the desk and shook Marcus's hand. Welcome to Harrison Industries, Marcus. You start Monday. 1 week later, Marcus stood in the hospital room watching Emma color in her new princess book. The surgery had been a complete success, and she was recovering beautifully. Daddy, look. Emma held up her drawing. I drew you and me at your new office. Marcus smiled at the picture of 2 stick figures standing in front of a tall building. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Are you really going to have your own office? Yes, baby. A real office with a window and everything. Emma giggled. Will you wear a tie like Mr. Robert? Robert had visited Emma in the hospital every day, bringing books and toys. Emma had taken to calling him Mr. Robert and had declared him her fairy godfather. Maybe sometimes, Marcus said, smoothing her hair. Dr. Webb appeared in the doorway. Good news, Mr. Thompson. Emma can go home tomorrow. That's wonderful, Doctor. Thank you for everything. I have to say, Marcus, in 20 years of practice, I've never seen someone's circumstances change so dramatically. One day you're worried about paying for surgery. The next day you have a new career. It's like something out of a movie. Marcus looked at Emma, who was now drawing a picture of a watch. Sometimes good things happen to good people, Doctor. Sometimes doing the right thing really does pay off. That evening, as Marcus sat in his apartment, the same small apartment, though not for much longer, he reflected on the incredible turn his life had taken. In 1 week, he'd gone from a struggling janitor to a facility manager with a secure future. His phone rang. It was Robert. Marcus, how's Emma doing? She's great, Mr. Harrison. She'll be home tomorrow. That's wonderful news. Listen, I wanted to let you know that I've scheduled a meeting with the HR department for Monday morning. They'll get you set up with your employee benefits and show you to your office. My office, Marcus repeated, still not quite believing it. 3rd floor, corner office with a view of the lake. I thought you might like that, Marcus laughed. 6 months ago, I was cleaning offices. Now I'm going to have my own. Marcus, can I tell you something? Of course. Finding that watch was the best thing that ever happened to me. Sir? It reminded me that there are still good people in this world. People who do the right thing not because they have to, but because it's who they are. That's worth more than any watch. Marcus wiped away a tear. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. For everything. Thank you, Marcus. For showing me that my father was right. About what? Time is the most valuable currency. But character is priceless." 6 months later, Marcus stood in his corner office, watching the sunrise over Lake Michigan. On his desk sat a framed photo of Emma, smiling widely to show off her missing front tooth. Next to it was a small plaque that read, "Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching." His phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Daddy, I'm so proud of you. Love you to the moon and back." Marcus smiled and typed back, "Love you too, princess. See you tonight." He looked at his reflection in the window, a man in a well-tailored suit, carrying himself with the confidence that comes from knowing he'd earned his place in the world. He thought about that morning 6 months ago when he'd found the watch, about the choice he'd made, and about how one moment of honesty had changed everything. His assistant knocked on the door. "Mr. Thompson, Mr. Harrison is here to see you." Robert entered, grinning. "Good morning, Marcus. Ready for the board meeting?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Marcus said, grabbing his files. As they walked toward the conference room, Robert asked, "How's Emma?" "She's perfect. She wants to be a doctor when she grows up. Says she wants to help people like Dr. Webb helped her." "That's wonderful. You know, I've been thinking about setting up a scholarship program for kids who want to pursue medicine." Marcus smiled. "I think that's a great idea, Mr. Harrison." "Robert. After 6 months, I think you can call me Robert." "Robert," Marcus corrected himself. As they entered the conference room, filled with executives, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought him here. A lost watch, a moral choice, and a phone call that changed everything. Sometimes, he thought, the right thing to do is also the best thing you can do for yourself. You just have to have the courage to do it. The meeting began, and Marcus Thompson, former janitor, current facility operations manager, and living proof that character pays dividends, presented his quarterly report with confidence and pride. Outside, the morning sun continued to rise over Chicago, just as it had on that fateful day when a struggling father found more than a watch. He found hope, opportunity, and the confirmation that honesty really is the best policy. The end.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.